Hi, I'll be presenting you how to build multiple MongoDB databases and services in one single server. So that is what we will be discussing today. So let me take you through the topics that we're going to discuss. So one is concepts and architecture of configuring multiple services in a single server. So do you really need it? Let us look into that. So we'll also look into the server setup that we need to prepare, in which we'll be hosting 3 different services. So then we can also look into the configuration files and directories those are required. And we'll also look into step-by-step configuring the services, multiple services in one single server. We'll go for 3 different services. So let us begin with the first component, concept and architecture. When you look into that concept, so we want multiple services in our server. So we'll go for one single server. So by name DS server. So we'll also use the LAN IP address as 200.168.1.24. And here we'll go for 3 subservers. So subserver 1, subserver 2, subserver 3. Basically, they're not individual servers, independent servers. In fact, they'll be there 3 services running in one single server itself. So in our practical activities, we'll link them in 3 different terminals. So we'll look into those. So we'll go for multiple databases and services in a single server. So which is required for various purposes. So this is the first considerations. Now, when it comes to the second one, do you really need it as database administrators? Yes. Okay. So we need it for various purposes. Particularly, why you need it? Okay. So why you need it? So one is for testing purpose. So instead of going for a brand new server with different configuration, so we can go for same server which is already having the configuration, but we will configure one more MongoDB database. We can consider a separate server itself, sub-server. So there we'll have MongoDB database and service, both will be there. So we'll use that in one terminal. So likewise, okay, you can go for 3 different servers, 3 different services and databases will be there. We'll go for them in 3 different terminals. So why you need them? One for testing purpose, the other is for any development activities are running. Instead of maintaining multiple servers, we can go for one single server in which we'll have multiple services. Not only that, okay, so in part of database administration, okay, so we have to do backup and restorations. So to do those practical activities and making them perfect, so we may need multiple servers sometimes to port objects from one database to another database. The way you want to do, okay, you want to learn that, okay, so you can do that. And we got an option of taking backup in the form of export and import. Okay, you want to do that practically. Instead of going for multiple different physical servers, you can use one server with multiple services running in it. So, and if you want to practice thoroughly with replication before you use that skill set in real-time requirement of replication, not only that, okay, so if you are trying to implement a sharding, so practicing sharding is important, okay, in which replication and replication wise and even sharding wise, we need multiple servers. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 servers. So practically, we'll not be able to go for those many. In that case, okay, we can use one single server for configuring multiple database and service, and we can use as if they are separate individual servers. Now let us look into the server setup for multiple databases. Okay, the server in which we want to host our services. Let us look into them. So in a server, we want to go for multiple services. So we need to go for, so this is 24. In our example, we are using 24. Ensure that you got MongoDB software installed in your server, which you are using it for a regular purpose. Verify that, okay, so you got MongoDB user. Verify that, okay, you got MongoDB group. And okay, so you open 3 terminals in which okay, you use as if they're connected to 3 different servers. So this is what okay, we'll do part of our configuration. Let us connect to the server, okay, and we'll verify these details. Now let us look into the server configuration. Here we connected to a server by name DS server. running with LAN IP address 200.168.1.24. And here we connected as root user. And here we can check for the services running. So I'll use RPM. Okay, means the software is installed. RPM minus QA query archive grep Mongo. If you give okay, so all those Mongo software installed. Okay, so you will get that mongo.org, all related Mongos, Mongo shell, okay, tools, server, database, components are installed. So then we can check for the user availability. We can see the password, grep MongoDB user. So same we can check for the group also, etc group, cat etc group, grep MongoDB. So we got user and group name same. So MongoDB itself. So we got software installed, okay, and we got user and group also available in our server. So we'll open 3 terminals. So terminal 1, so we named it as terminal 1, terminal 2, and terminal 3. We use as if we are connected to 3 different servers. In fact, okay, they are same server. So host name, so same server. In our example, it is 200.168.1.24. So we connect to the same server. If you all 3 terminals, same LAN, okay, and host is the name is also same, DS server itself. You are connected. So this is the setup of our server as of now. Now next let us look into configuration of different directories. So those we need to use to configure multiple services in one server. So configuration file, etc mongodb.conf file, configure database files, which default is var lib mongo, configure log file, default is var log mongodb, configure or create an executable file optionally. So default is user bin mongodb. Then configure auto start file. So default is under system location, you got mongodb.service. Then configure the process ID directory in which a process file will be created. So these are the standard configuration files. We'll use this as source for our services to configure in one single server. The next is we'll go for step-by-step configuration of multiple services. We'll do practically connecting to servers. So we'll do stepwise. So multiple steps will be helping for us to configure it in an easier way without errors. Let me take you through the steps that we have to follow to implement multiple MongoDB services with databases in a single server. Now let us move on to the next important phase, the most important phase of our configuration. So configuring multiple databases, multiple services in one single server. So we'll do configuration step by step. So, but before do that, so click on subscribe button and also notification button. So you can get the latest videos once they are uploaded to your account. So because of this, you subscribe now. Hope you're done. Now let us look into the step 1. So step 1 of our configuration. So we'll do it in all the 3 servers. So here to make it simple for you to configure. So taking for each server, okay, so there's almost same configuration. Step 1 is create the configuration file for each server. So use the standard configuration file available, which is used for configuring standard file. Copy it to the name that you want to use for your service. So the default name will be service name is MongoDB. We'll use MongoDB 1, MongoDB 2, and MongoDB 3. So with that name, we'll create the configuration file. Use the source file will be your standard configuration file. So copy that to the relevant name.conf. So here we are using, we have decided to use MongoDB 1, 2, 3 respectively, and .conf is the extension. So we'll be under etc directory. We can maintain it in etc directory itself standard because in Linux operating system, so etc directory is used for configuration file. Though it is possible for us to place it in non-default location, it's better to store it in default location. Once you create this, the next step that you are doing, step number 2, is important. So you need to set ownership for MongoDB user, because you are going to create this as a root user. You did this as a root user, so because you need to set ownership to MongoDB user, change ownership. So recursively, recursively. Here we have to use the username and colon password group. This username colon group name. Your user and group name is same, and here for the file that is created. Here username, group name is same for all the 3 services. The only thing is, we're going to change the file names. We're going to create 3 different files for our configuration. So 3 different servers, sub-servers. So we'll have 3 different configuration files, and we are using 3 different terminals. We connect it to the server. So we'll use 3 different terminals. Terminal 1 for first server, terminal 2 for second sub-server, terminal 3 is for the third sub-server. So we'll use 3 different terminals for it. And here, let us look into the file that is available, configuration file. So all those files which we verified earlier are looked into. Check for those files. Once this MongoDB.conf file is available, so then we got var lib mongo is the database files standard. Then var log mongo db is for log file. So then we got executable file under usr bin. MongoDB is the executable file name. Same we got the system configuration file for autostart, which is under usr lib systemd system, and the file name will be mongo.service. MongoDB.service. So these are the files. So now we are using the first file, configuration file. We have to copy it. So cp-r, we give the name as MongoDB1. So copy standard name. So same we have to follow for other 2 files also. I'll use the respective terminal for it. Here we'll give the name as .conf, MongoDB2.conf. So same we'll go for the third terminal. We'll give it as MongoDB.3, MongoDB3.conf file. So means we have used the configuration file, we have done it. So now let us edit the ownership for these files in the respective location. Will be owned by root user with the ownership for MongoDB user. After this, you see the ownership is changed. We'll repeat it for other 2 server files also. We'll define it. If you verify before doing configuration, it will not be set. Okay, so we need to check for the third one here. So change it for MongoDB user for the third configuration file also. Means we got 3 configuration files in respective servers. So one by MongoDB user, going to MongoDB group. Same we can check it in second server also. Same MongoDB user itself is owning this file. Okay, and we got third file also in the third terminal 3. As if they are in different server configuration, we are doing it. So this is with respect to the configuration file. Next step is step number 3. We need to create directories for database file. So in respect to server, so the database files are stored in standard location is var lib mongo. Now in our example for server 1, we'll create a server 1 location and we give the subdirectory name also as MongoDB1. For server 2, we'll create so server 2 location, and the direct subdirectory name will be MongoDB2. For server 3, we'll go for creating make directory server 3 location, and this last subdirectory is MongoDB3. This will, as if we are using 3 different servers locations, we'll specify them. And once we create a cab, as we are doing this activity as root user, we need to set ownership to MongoDB user. So change ownership recursively. So we have to specify the username, then the group group user group group name. So here we'll give it for the base directory itself, server 1. Similar to that, we will do it for change ownership for server 2 also for MongoDB user itself. So change ownership to server 3 location, even that also for MongoDB user belonging to MongoDB group. So this is what we do. Let us switch to server and we will see. In first terminal, as if it is first server, so we'll go for creating directory, make directory. So we'll give server 1 DB Mongo DB1. So by default, as these locations are not there, so we are going to use -p so that it will create all the subdirectories. Now they are available. So you see the base directory. So root is the owner. So even for DB, root is the owner, and even for MongoDB1, root is the owner. We need to change ownership recursively for MongoDB user belong to MongoDB group. Okay, so here we'll give the directory sufficient, because as we are using recursively, it will update for even the subdirectories also. After for server, it has been set up. Earlier root was the owner, now MongoDB is owner. Same way as the DB subdirectory. So MongoDB is the owner. And even for the last subdirectory, MongoDB is the owner. So same we have to repeat for server 2 also. So in our second terminal, as we are doing it in server 2, we'll do that. Server 2 DB MongoDB2. So they need not be identical. Okay, so here we go for identical because we want to make keep our configuration as simple as possible. So then obviously the ownership is not set for MongoDB user, it is set for root. We change it to MongoDB user belonging to MongoDB group for server 2. So obviously it will update the subdirectory also because we are using recursively. So if we check for the permission now, so the base directory permission is changed, ownership is changed to MongoDB user. So even for the subdirectory DB, even for the other subdirectory MongoDB2. Now let us create in third terminal also, as if we are going to create in third server. Ownership should be there. So make directory -p will create subdirectories and subdirectories. DB MongoDB3. So and obviously ownership is there with root now because we are doing the activity as root. We change the ownership for this MongoDB for this directory. It will update to all the subdirectories also. User subdirectories are also ownership is changed to MongoDB user. So this is with respect to configuring the subdirectories for configuration. So similarly, we'll need to go for log file also. So step number 5, we'll create directory for system log file. Make directory as we got the server. Okay, so you can use -p here. Use -p. So then the path. So you need to leave space. So here, we'll also create the subdirectories. So we will go for make directory -p server 2 location, which exists. But log directory, MongoDB within that log directory we are creating now. So use mkdir-p. So then server 3 location, which exists. So log and MongoDB directory, MongoDB 3 directory we are creating now. And obviously, even for this, also we should set ownership, change ownership recursively. Username : group name, MongoD : MongoD in our example. For server 1 log directory, as we are using recursively, if you give log as the base directory, and under any subdirectories are there. Now, in our example, what MongoDB 1 or MongoDB 2 respectively, will also be updated with the ownership now. So change ownership for user MongoD belong to MongoD group. So set it for log directory also. So log directory is updated as base directory, subdirectories are also updated. Same you can use it for the third server also. Into terminal 1, okay, so as if we are creating in first server, so we go for make directory -p. So server 1 log MongoDB 2, sorry 1, and ownership is set to root user. Will change the ownership also. Change ownership for MongoD, going to MongoD group, log base directory. If you do it for base log directory, it will also do it for its subdirectory because we are using the recursive option. So similar to this, we will also create a subdirectory for log file server 2 location, log subdirectory MongoDB 2. Change ownership for, if you do it for log directory, that is sufficient. Okay, so sorry, we have to make it username MongoD : MongoD. Check for the ownership, ls-cld. We have set to MongoD user. Even its subdirectory is also set to MongoD user itself. Now, similar to this, we'll also create a subdirectory for the third server, log MongoDB 3. Change ownership. Okay, so we can also call the previous commands available. Change ownership. Only path I'll change. Server 3. Log is the base directory. So ls-ld. Okay, so now it is been set to the base directory. So we can also check for its subdirectory is also set to MongoD user itself. Ownership is required because any file permission issue should not arise. That is the reason we are setting the ownership also. So this is okay. We're going to create log directories in which log files will be stored. The next step is we need to create the executable file. One of the important file. Okay, so because of this service to be started, MongoD is the executable file name. Default is we got under user bin, we got MongoD. Use that as source and create a MongoD service for, though not mandatory, it is good. So as if we have got separate executable for it, okay, we are doing that. Okay, this is for server 1. So copy, we are using copy -r is recursively. It will preserve the permissions. So then use the source as your regular executable file. Copy it to the server 2 also, server 2 executable. So copy -r, the default regular MongoD executable. So we want to create it for server 3. So means we are creating 3 executables for 3 different services that we want to run in the same server itself. So though not mandatory, it is good actually. Now step number 8 is set ownership for MongoD user. So change ownership recursively. So recursive is not required as if we are going to change it for file. Anyway, we can do it. So username colon group name and the executable name. So MongoDB1 under user bin. So change ownership for MongoDB2 under user bin. Change ownership to MongoDB3 present under user bin. Okay, ownership is set to MongoDB user belong to MongoDB group. So servers. So we'll go for copy USR bin MongoDB to USR bin MongoDB 1. So we can check for the file size to ensure that they are similar in size. So this is the biggest file actually. So and we'll change the ownership also for the first executable file. So similar to this, we'll also create it for the other two servers also. So for second one, set ownership. If you check for the presently, ownership wise will be there for root actually. User bin Mongo D2. So we'll change it to change owner recursively is not required. Username colon group name. So then the executable file name. Take it is set to MongoDB user. Similar to that, okay, create the third executable file for the third server also. Using the base is your regular executable file, copy to file with service name. So then if you check for the file permission ownership, owned by root, we'll change the ownership. So there's no harm in using recursively. Recursive means your subdirectory is also to be done. Okay, but here there's no subdirectory, only file is asked to update. Now it is set to ownership. Earlier by root user, now it is owned by so MongoDB user. So this is okay. We're going to create executable file. It is good to create a separate executable for our purpose. So next step is what we'll do is we'll go for September 9. We are going to create a auto start file. Regular file is available, okay, which is done automatically. Will be under user lib system d system. The file regular file name is MongoDB.service. Copy that to this location. The system bus has to be maintained in the same location because it is something like a startup script which will be running. So MongoDB1 means service name 1 we are using. So same way you do it for the other two services also, which we are going to run in the same server. So use your source file is your regular service file, which is there under user bin system d system. So then copy to first server, second server, and for third server. Obviously, we should set ownership for even this also. Step number 10 is set ownership for auto start file. So change ownership recursively, again not required for a file. User colon group name, MongoDB colon MongoDB user colon group name. So our system configuration location. Under that, okay, what first service MongoDB1.service, so MongoDB2.service, MongoDB.3 service. So this file we have to update it, like we will see. Two important files we want to update. One is configuration file, the other is the service file. So where we need them for our sub servers. So this is what we'll do. Connecting to server, we will do this activity. We are in the first terminal. Okay, so check for the file user lib system d system mongo d dot service file is available. So we have to copy this file recursively, means it will preserve permissions. So the file name should be 1.service. But okay, we know that ownership is set for root user. We have to change the ownership. Change ownership. Even for this service file, which is for auto starting of our service actually. After the service file is updated, we need to do necessary configuration in this file. We'll come back to that. Now, similar to this, okay, we'll also go for creating for the second and third service also. The second service is the file name, and obviously it is owned by root user. We change the ownership to MongoDB user. Now, after this, we check it is not by MongoDB user. Let us do the same for server 3. We'll copy, paste it, change only the number. So owned by root user, change ownership. The third auto start configuration file. So we got 3 configuration files now owned by MongoDB user itself. So these are the 3 configuration files which we have created. The next is we'll take care of process file location. Create a directory. So for MongoDB service PID file. So here this you can put in startup script file also. So where run MongoDB 1, MongoDB 2, MongoDB 3. By default, this directory will not be available. You can go for creating them. So where run will be available. So run directory. These are runtime directory. So required for your auto start service. So by then it should be available. As of now, we are creating it, and we should set ownership to even those directories also. Okay, so for MongoDB user belong to MongoDB group. So user name is MongoDB, group name is also MongoDB. So change this for your MongoDB user. So now let us connect to the server. Now here we create those directories. If already there, okay, you don't need to worry. So usually by default, default directory will be available. Where run MongoDB 1. So and we know that default will be owned by root user, as root user is creating it. Change ownership. You can call your Linux option. Change ownership to MongoDB user belonging to MongoDB group. And if you verify now, so same way we'll also go for the other 2 servers. Change the ownership also for the third directory, the second directory. So similar to this, we'll go for the third directory also. In terminal 3, I think we are doing this in server 3. We check for ownership owned by root user. So we change the ownership going for the directory that is created in run where run actually. So if you check now, ownership is set to MongoDB user. So now we have created all the required MongoDB related files and directories are created. So 2 important files we have to configure. Let me switch to the presentation. Now when we look into in one single server, so we go for so step number 13 is we need to edit the configuration file, and we have to set the necessary configuration parameters. Particularly system log we have to set. System log. We have to set storage related path for database files. Networking wise, we have to use different port number, because you know that when you are configuring multiple services in one single server, in our example, server is DS server running with LAN IP address 200.168.1.24. So is one subserver, 2 subserver, third one. So they are obviously they are configured in one server, means they can't use same path actually. Either for log file they can't use path. Okay, they have to use different path, as we have mentioned here. And even for database files, they have to use respective locations: server 1 location, server 2 location, and server 3 location. and services will be running. One is with respect to database files, log files and database files. Service also should run. So, and they can't run with the same port number. Default port is 27017. So now we are using custom port number 1111 2222 3333. So I'm using sequential number so that we can remember easily and we can use it. And okay, we are setting that networking. System log file, destination is a file. Append the information every time, and we are giving server one locations for log file and log file name. So service name.log is the name we are given. Same way we'll do it for server 2 also. We'll do server 2 log location, log file name for server 2. Server 3 log location, file name is MongoDB3.log. Storage wise, we are using DB path, represents database files path. Server 1 location, for server 2 location, server 3 location, we are using 3 different subdirectories which were created and ownership is set to so MongoDB user. Okay, so now we are ensure that the database directories are available, which though we have created, verified. It is always good practice to verify. So use the ls command to find out. Server 1 MongoDB location, server 2 MongoDB location, server 3 MongoDB location for database files. So must exist, verify them. Same way we can also verify log file directory, system log file directory. So server 1 log location, server 2 log location, which we have created, verified also. We'll verify before we start using them because we have specified in configuration file. We got 3 locations for log files. In that, a file will be created. Location path must exist, file will be created. Into server. So as we are going to configure in the server, we'll do it now. So we'll go for editing. We have got configuration file under etc MongoDB1.conf file is available. Here we'll edit this file using the editor. We'll do the configuration, and here I'm going to set it for our system log destination is a file. So here it is in YAML format. It's another markup language format. Is a typed language. Parameter, whenever it is having subparameters, there should be a space actually given. So destination is a file, log append is true, path is. So we have to set the location that we created. Server 1 log MongoDB1. MongoDB1.log. So this is the location must exist, which you can verify in a common terminal. I'll verify in common terminal, which I'm using. So it must exist, is available. So same way we need to set for database file. Under storage, we got DB path. So whenever we set any configuration parameter, if it is a 2-word option, second word onwards, it is initial capital letter. So server 1 location, DB Mongo DB1. Only path has to be defined here, must also exist. Let me verify this also. So ensure that the kids are available. So owned by MongoDB user. So then we need to set the port number. We set it 1111. Default is 27017. Bind IP. So by default is set to localhost. You can set it for IP address to be used. Bind IP 0.0.0.0 means it is going to set it for any IP address can connect. So these are the configuration that we have to do. If you look into the configuration now, for path, important. Okay, so the rest of them, they are common. Path is server 1 location for log file name you have to set. Same way you can also check for DB path. Second word it is initial capital letter. So must exist in this location. Database files will be created. Okay, and we need to check for the port. So default is 27017. We are setting it to 1111. And we need to check for bind IP. So we set for 0.0.0.0. Default is set to loopback address, localhost. We are setting actually. So similar to this, we need to edit the second configuration file to make our activity is copy this file. Though we have copied earlier, so copy this file to the second file name because only number we have to change. So we'll say yes, and as we are doing the same server, so we'll do this. So earlier we had copied the default one. Okay, so now we have copied the figured one. So that we can see only the number. Okay, so what are the number we are using? If one, server one. So we'll okay, so we'll use it for server 2 in the location. So we'll go for editing that file. The file must exist. Okay, so we'll pick for that. Okay, permission wise also it should be proper. Okay, so etc MongoDB.conf file. Okay, edit this file. As mentioned, we have to update only the number. So system log destination is a file, append it will append the information. So server 1 location, we have to change it to server 2. So then the log file name also server 2 log file. Same way for database files also server 2 location. So the subject is also for server 2. And we change this to number. Port number is also we'll use it 22222. So we can check for the configuration that we have done. Look for it. Path, then DB path. Then we got port, then bind IP. 4. Here we are setting server 2 location for log file name, server 2 location for database files. And okay, so port number we are using 2222, which we have decided to use. Bind IP also we are set. Now similar to this, we'll also edit the third file. So third file is also available. Edit this file, and we have to change only the number as we know now. System log destination is a file, log append true. Path is server 3 location here for as we are using it for server 3. Then the log file name. Then we have to set it for DB path also. We have to set server 3 location. So where okay, it is available at the same time, ownership is set to MongoDB. And this, here we are using port number 3333. Bind IP also you set. You can verify the parameters that you have set. Correct. Port, DB path, So in the end, we go for bind IP. So port number is 3333. Database first path is server 3 location. Subject is also for server 3. Log also server 3 location. File name is also for server 3. And bind IP we are defining. So we have done configuration file. Okay, so we are setting the necessary configurations which will be using it for our purpose. Next is we'll take it as next step, step number 16. So ensure that okay, executable file is available. Ownership is set to MongoDB user, which we have done. Server 1 executable, server 2 executable. Though not mandatory, a good practice because okay, each service will be using its own respective executable file. 3 different services we have planned to configure, and okay, we'll use them as sub-servers, and we got 3 executable files owned by MongoDB user. So next is we need to look into step number 17 is configuring auto shard file is important. So here we're going to configure 3 services. Here only those options that are required, okay, you just configure. Rest of them they are not required. So you change this default configuration should be there. So or else copy it from as we copied it from our regular file, .service file. So we are going to use it. Options file, which is that configuration file it has to use. So we have to specify that okay, as it is for server 1, MongoDB1.conf file. Then the element file. Okay, so for MongoDB1. So then executable startup executable So user bin MongoDB1, which is existing, which we have verified. So as we already created the directory, this we don't need to specify. If required, you can specify, or else you can skip also. If you're done manually, you can skip it because okay. So we have created MongoDB1 directory under var run. So because of this, we don't need to specify this here. And okay, even ownership also, you don't need to specify. If you already created it, you can just leave it. So anyway, it is going to specify. So then change mode for those we have done manually, we don't need to do it using this option. If you're not done manually, you can do the specify here. PID file will be there under this location. So that is what we are trying to create, which we avoided now. So same way you can follow. Go for create specifying the which is the configuration file should be used. Then which is that environment file that be used. Then if you specify the executable that file will be used. So these three you can skip configuring. Then specify the PID file. So next is same way you do it for server 3 also. As we got separate configuration file, we specify the respective configuration file. And this file will be created with the name that we have given. And it is going to use the executable also, which we have created. And with these three, as we have done manually, you don't need to specify that. Okay, you can skip it. PID file, so you can specify. So many other entries will be there. So you don't need to set those things. You set only these options. So show that the next is step is PID file exists. Because without this, what will happen is your service may not start actually. All the paths that we are using, all the files that we are using, so must exist plus ownership should be there with MongoDB user. So then we'll go for next step is start the service. Connecting to respect to terminal. Start the service. Assuming that we have done our configuration properly, system CTL start the service name. So we have used the respective executable file here. Okay, it will be used internally. Configuration file is there. Internally it uses configuration file. Then we got the database directory. We got log directory. So in which files will be created. Then we got auto start file, which will be used next time whenever starts. So currently it will not start automatically. We have to start manually. Like this, we need to start other two services also. After starting these services, so then we'll verify the status. You can use systemctl install to verify systemctl status, MongoDB1. So you can also use ps command, pipe grep, MongoDB1. So use either systemctl or ps option to get. Okay, if you use ps option, grep for MongoDB. So systemctl, as you want to specify the respective service name itself, okay, to give that. So do this for each server. Let us hope okay, we've done all our configuration proper and it works fine. Let me connect to the server now. So connecting to the terminals, three terminals, as if we're connecting to three different servers. So we'll use that. Terminal 1, terminal 2, terminal 3 is our three different servers. Now let us go for verifying it. So let us verify before we start. Okay, etc mongo d1.conf file is available. SMSLD. We have got under server 1 location. We got DB MongoDB 1 directory. Same we'll have log directory also under server 1 location. Server 1 location. Log MongoDB 1 directory is available. So then we got executable file under USR bin MongoDB 1 file is available. Then we got for start script file also, which is used later. So USR lib, then systemd, system MongoDB 1 service file. Also ensure that okay, under var run we got MongoDB 1 directory, which is for PID file. All these files are available now. Let us start the service. Systemctl start MongoDB 1. Let us hope it works fine. So let us check for the status. So fine, running fine. We've done configuration perfectly, so it's running fine. Now, obviously, we got other files also. If you want to verify, you can verify all those files as we did. Configuration file. It's always good practice to verify the files, directories. So then under server 2 location, you got DB files for database files. Under server 2 location, we got log directory for log file, and that we got MongoDB. Then our executable file user bin Mongo D2 file. So then the auto start file will be under USR lib systemd system Mongo 2.service file. Also ensure that the PID file also exists, PID directory exists, where run MongoDB 2. So now let us start our service. Systemctl start Mongo D2. Let us check for the status. Okay, it has failed. So there may be a reason. Let us check that. Okay, so some configuration problem is there. Let me check for that. Let us edit Mongo. So it tends to fail actually. So we need to troubleshoot. MongoDB 2 location we are using. Port number we are using. Fine. We'll use user lib systemd system Mongo 2.service file. Okay, so you can observe here. Configuration file is 2 is missing here. Okay, let me check for the file. So service 2 file. So here we have not done that configuration. I should have copied it from the other file. Okay, anyway, we'll change this to 2. Executable file. We are using 2 second one. The rest of them they are fine. So it should work fine now. Let us start the service again. Okay, so we need to reload because we did changes to configuration. We have to reload. So it's running now. Now, okay, for the third one, to verify the locations, let us etc Mongo 3.conf file. Let's -ld server 3 DB MongoDB 3 directory. Let's -ld server 3 log MongoDB 3. Then executable file user bin Mongo D3. So configuration system auto.conf file, what I will do is I'll copy it now. So using user lib system d system Mongo 1.service file. I'll copy this to the third one because okay, so that was missing actually. So let me do this and we'll update also. We'll update this file with the file number. Okay, so it is missing. We'll update it. So 3. Okay, so now let us start systemctl start Mongo D3 status is running. All 3 services are running now. You can use check ps mysf grep Mongo D3. So it will show the executable used, which is the configuration file it is using. Same, you can check it for other two servers also. You check it for other two servers also. So MongoDB service one is not running. Let me check for that. MongoDB one. Okay, it is running as MongoDB itself. I think we have done that configuration. Okay, it is running as MongoDB one. Okay, so not as one. Let's stop this second. We'll do it. Systemctl stop MongoDB one systemctl. So got stopped. Let us check for the status. Not running. Let us edit the configuration file. Okay, under USR lib system D system. Got MongoDB 1.conf service file. We'll update this to the respective name so that it uses that locations. We'll start it again. Start. We'll check the status. Running now. Now, if you check for the configuration file, so both the basic we can check. Status wise, we are able to see PS -F5 grep Mongo D1. So it is also available. So now in one server, you got all the three services. We'll also verify that. We check for PS option with just MongoDB, it will show. We got 1, 2, 3 running. So they are using respective configuration files and they are running now. How to connect to these files? So we have to connect to these files. Let us connect to the file. Connect to the database and okay, we'll look into some information. The next step is okay, if you want to enable for auto start, enable it. So that next time onward server will start automatically. Systemctl default is not enabled, you have to enable it. So enable for all the three, MongoDB1, MongoDB2, MongoDB3, and verify it. Using the systemctl status, only you should check. PS will not give that information. Systemctl status MongoDB1, 2, 3. So auto enabling will be done. Okay, so it will show that now. So now if you check for information, systemctl status Mongo MongoDB1 is running but disabled. Let us enable it. Now got enabled. Earlier it was disabled. It is enabled. Same is with other two services also. We'll look into them. Pick for the second service running but not enabled for auto start. Next time starts, server starts, okay, so service will not start. You start that, you have to enable auto start so that okay, now next time onwards, we don't need to start manually, it will be started automatically. Currently also running because we started it. As we enable, next we start also start automatically. So now let us look into the third one, the last one, how to enable, we know now. Okay, so enable. So if before that, if you want to check the status, you can check. By default, we know that it will not be enabled. Is disabled by default. Now we'll enable it. Then if you check, so it's running now. So this is what we will be able to enable for next restart. So that okay, auto start is enabled. Next restart onwards will start automatically. Now you can verify the database files location. Okay, so files will be available for all the 3 servers. Go to 3 servers in a location and you can verify. So server 1 location for database files, server 2 location for database files. You go for listing them. Okay, so all those files will be created. Similar to that, you can also check for the system log file, which were specified to be created in server 1 location. So file will be created. You can go through the contents. So server 2 location file will be available. You can go through the contents. Cat command you can use. Server 3 location also log file will be created. Which you can verify. Now here if you check, so cd server 1 location db MongoDB 1. So initially we created it empty. So if you check now, so there are files and directories available. So this is your default database files available. Then you can also check for server 2 location. Server 2 location for database files. If you check for the files, even there we are going to see the files. Go to server 3 location also. Server 3 DB MongoDB files. You can see even there we got files. Now, as we can check for database files, we can also check for log files. So server 2 location, sorry, server 1 location, log directory, MongoDB. You can see log files available, which you can go through. You can use cat option to check. It will show the information. You can also use a cat, tail, head, based on your requirement. You can check. If you go to server 2 location, log directory, MongoDB log. There you can see log files available. Okay, you can go through it. Same way, you can also go to server 3 location, log directory, MongoDB log 3, log files are available. So all the 3 log files are available. It will be useful for us to perform administrative tasks as we progress actually. So now we are into final step of our learning. Okay, so still you're not subscribed to our channel, subscribe it. Okay, so and like it. Also share to your friends. So now let us look into the step number 25. Connect to MongoDB database. But here we have to connect to the respective port number. So port number 1111, 2222, 3333. You can get database details in various ways. So we can check for okay, but whenever you connect to database by default, DB you can check, show DBAs will show all those databases available. So you can check for get name, will get the database to which you connected. You can also ask get Mongo, it will show from where you are connected, how you are connected. Okay, so now let's switch to the server and okay, we'll connect to the respective databases. So in terminal 1, let me connect to Mongo shell. Port is 1111. So connect it to test database by default. DB, show DBS will show. The default databases are available. Similar to this, okay, we can connect to Mongo shell. Port is port 2222. So we connect to test database. So DB anyway will give. You can also use db.getName. Get So 2-word option is the second word onwards, it is initial capital letter. Output is same actually. So one you can treat as Mongo shell option, the other one is database option. Now we can also connect to the third database, Mongo shell. Port is 3333. DB we get db.getName. We're able to get db. get Mongo. So we'll show the connections that is been established. We connected from localhost, port number we are using is 3333. We can check this in other servers also. So that if which is the port number we have used and connected, we come to know that. So DB Mongo, so connected to 2222. DB.get Mongo. So connected to 1111. So three different services. Let us go to the common terminal. So we can check all the three services running at a time in single server. And we are able to connect to them as if they're in different servers. We are able to connect and we can work it. So if we just give MongoDB, it will show all three services using respective configuration file. Because of this, they are using different locations, port numbers. And I've established three different sessions to those servers also. We are able to see this. So this is okay. We will be able to configure multiple MongoDB database and services in one single server, which will be helpful for our learning, particularly practical purposes, okay, implementing replication, sharding. Okay, so we can also practice backup and restoration, backup, export and importing data. And also you can also make provision for your testing team, development team also to use a database in one single server itself. Okay, so this is about configuring multiple services in one single server. So subscribe to our channel. Click on that notification button so that you get notification immediately when we post the new video. And also share this to your friends, which will be helpful for them. Thank you. Concept and architecture completed. You know now why we need it. We looked into server setup, also prerequisite settings. We worked with configuration files and directories, created them which were required, and we did this step by step. 20 steps we have done. Hope it will be helpful. Configure it so leisurely. Thank you all. Wish you all the best.